To expand the conversation and talk about the scourge of drug use, we're now joined by Tebogo Ramadiro, SADC's Substance Use Coordinator. Tebogo, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, we've just listened to young people saying that they're ready to go to rehab, and also, of course, noted the MEC, Faith Mazibuko, speaking about how some of them are forced to go to rehab by their parents who've simply had enough of seeing them deteriorate and the impact that their substance abuse has on the family's livelihood. What are your thoughts?
Good evening, both. Thank you so much for having me. So, based on what the MEC has said, it is true that some people who are looking for help to go to rehab are a bit resistant at first, But our thoughts is that we also, as a community, we need to understand that addiction is quite a complex condition.
Yeah.
Right. So what I mean by that, there's different factors that cause one to be addicted. It's not a choice or a moral failing. There's environmental factors, biological, and also psychological factors to consider.
And what are some of these factors? What do they entail? I mean, if you talk about psychological factors, and my colleague, of course, Calvin Dludla in the package was speaking about peer pressure being one of the reasons that one faces when it comes to experimenting with drugs and essentially being hooked.
Okay, so some of the factors that I'm talking about when we're referring to psychological factors, it's trauma, death of a loved one, grieving, and as you also highlighted, that peer pressure, even some young people are struggling with anxiety or even depression that they're not even aware of. So these are the factors that we're referring to, and as you know, as well as a country, that we are suffering a high rate of unemployment, So there's a lot of components to consider. So when you're dealing with somebody who's addicted to substances, you're not looking at there's no blanket approach, to dealing with the scourge or the problem. So we need to look at various factors. So with that being said, it's definitely social factors. We're looking at poverty, we're looking at unemployment, lack of access to resources can also contribute to the use of substance use disorder or substance abuse.
So what are some preventative measures if someone is watching an individual who may be falling into this dip? What are some of the ways in which to assist before it leads to substance abuse?
Yeah, so it's easier said than done, to be quite honest with you. But what is important to remember is that, like I highlighted, addiction, when you see someone that they're falling apart or they're using or abusing the substances, is to have a safe space, and to break the stigma. The problem starts when we start labeling them, to say you're a nyaupe or an addict, The person has got a name in the ID. I do believe that it's not written in the ID book. There is no name that says nyaupe or, addict. There's a name. So if you address the person with respect and you offer that comfort to say, because some of the cases that we pick up on the helpline is people confessing that people say, I have a problem, you need to get help.
Yeah.
So we need to change the terms that we're using. Instead of saying that you need to get help, it's to say, how can I support you? I see that you're struggling with substances. So changing the language and promoting community engagements, and also raising awareness within our communities about addiction. Like I said earlier, addiction, when the key thing is, when we talk about substance use or misuse or abuse, we need to realize that there's also addiction that's taking place in that individual.
So according to the World Drug Report of 2021, the population that's most at risk of using drugs is young people between the ages of 15 to 34. What does this signal when it comes to intervention?
What it's signaling is that we need to have more collaborative efforts, within the policymakers as well as community members and different stakeholders. Like the MEC has highlighted that we can take somebody into rehab today, right?
Yeah.
And they say, look, I'm ready to get help. But once they get out, and this is what we've noticed on our lines as well, they reach out to us and say, look, I've just been out of rehab, but now what's next? I don't have a job. what skills have I developed? So I appreciate the fact that the MC is saying that they have also looked into providing skills to provide them with, to equip them with, after being rehabilitated, to do something that's meaningful in their lives. So we need to have these stakeholder conversations and foster these collaborations in order to help these young people, because what the drug report reports is saying that we are losing our youth to drugs. And the upcoming, which is like a silent epidemic, is the vaping and the hemp, which is seen as safer. And the education around that, it's another, the information that's around that, it means that we need to educate our young people more to say that even using hemp or vaping is not a safer option, but it's also nicotine and can create or can cause someone to have an addiction.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thanks for speaking to us this evening. Tebogo Ramadiro, SADC's Substance Use Coordinator there, giving us some insight when it comes to substance abuse and, of course, the dangers of e-cigarettes.